everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to the grand finale of Build the Helios 1650 Enterprise D. Oh yes, you heard that right. And for any of you out there who are going, oh, for the love of Jehovah, thank God this is over, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. There is a certain level of, exhaustion that comes with this, and it's due to the sheer enormity of the task at hand and the focus. But I have to tell you, it's been a really terrific, fun ride, and I can't thank my subscribers, each and every one of you. You know who you are, for your support, your kind words, and your basic vote of confidence in me. Because, this is genuinely a huge leap forward for me in terms of model construction, and it's going to be a long time before I tackle anything of this enormity, I promise you. But anyway, here we are, and I wanted to open quickly by just sort of letting you know where we are. I'm going to bring the D over here in just a second, and we're going to get going on the last of the decals. And there's also some touching up and some other things that need to be done. First and foremost, I need to put on my impulse engine covers that belong on the sort of the both sides of the saucer. Here they are. And what I've done is I actually hit these with a few coats of the Tamiya red because they were clear, and I just wasn't loving it. So I went ahead and I gave those some clear. So we've done that. Those are ready to install. And then in front of me, I've got decals. I've got some thrusters, some brackets. There's some pen marks. If you look on we're taking our reference photos from the 4-foot miniature, which was different from the 6-foot. But we've got some hash marks that have to go on. We've got some lifeboats I've got to get on the belly. I'm going to do those. I've got some dottage here that we're assuming they're windows, but we have them in decals, so those are going to go ahead and go on the star drive. We've got our pennants that have to go on, and we've got these elements here, these sort of keyhole elements, and they're going to go on the underneath of the nacelles. So we've got those. We've got some call outs here for the D, and they're going to go on either side of the pylons on top and also underneath. So there's a few decals to go on. There's also the shuttle bay 2 and 3 numbers that need to go on as well. So I've also got some directional thrusters that need to go on either side of the deflector dish. Okay, so lots to do, but we're going to chip away at it, and then after we've got all the decals on, I'm going to put a little bit of smoke on the Bassard collector covers, just a little bit of smoke. Now it's interesting because Lou chose to actually just softly give his Bassard collector lenses some color. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not. I'm gonna leave them clear. Although interestingly enough, it only makes sense when you're obviously lighting it up. But when it's just static, I suppose it should have a tinge of red on it. So I may go ahead and completely change my mind on that. But again, these are sort of the minor details that we'll do as we move ahead. But step one, let's get this beast on the bench, and let's get going on some decals. We're actually okay. Lifeboats. I tend to do no more than 5 or 6 at a time, just because I don't want these decals to dry out. And there's actually a massive difference, unfortunately, in the window placements on this model than there is on the call out on Rick's plans. But we're going to just you know, put these as close as we can. There's actually 7 of them. There's one that is located in front of the phaser array, and there's 3 and 3. So we're going to start with the one that's in front of the phaser array here, and we're just going to sort of put this on, get it lined up, and then what we'll do is we'll get all the others, we'll kind of line up with it. They go on quite well, and then I just use a little bit of my micro sol just to let it sit down, and then I'll carry on around here, and we'll do the first one here, and then we'll do a second one next to that. And they're in bundles of, not bundles, but they kind of sit together in 3s. So we're going to do the best we can to get the location as clean as possible. Okay, so we'll get some, I need 4 more. So there's 2, 3, 4. So that it goes in the tub here. And then I just, they only take a few seconds. They release quite quickly. And the sort of the gluing surface, the tension on it is quite good. But needless to say, you know, you do want some kind of adhesion promoter, I think, with these decals. And then, of course, they're going to get a matte coat anyway just to super seal them in. So I'm not too worried about it. And having put quite a few of these on, I feel a little more comfortable doing it than I did when I started. Because it's like everything else, right? If you do something repetitively, you tend to do better at it, and for whatever reason, I get quite lucky with these. They seem to behave quite well. Really nice decals. So what I have to do now is I gotta raise these just a little bit. I'm working under the windows here, so you can imagine how much fun this is. That's pretty good. Sorry, it's not easy for me to do this because I'm talking to you and I'm trying to concentrate. And that is interesting, to say the least. Now I'm going to do my limbo dance thing here, just to make sure these are looking pretty decent. And they are. Okay, I'm relatively happy with that. And I'll do that off camera, and then we'll come back and we'll reset for all my decals on the nacelles. But I've got some I've got some decals that have to go here under the nacelles, and I'll put those on because it's impossible for you to see. But then we'll take a look at we'll take a look at the result of getting these on, and of course doing the star drive. So, but I wanted to give you a sense of what I was doing just to memorialize it. But really, this is really about getting this beautiful thing finished now. So that's what we'll do. We'll head towards the finish line. So, quick progress report. It's been better part of 3 hours now, and I'm just coming up to the final directional thruster. You end up just shy of it is where you're supposed to be, right here. So we come around. This is the green nav light here on the starboard side. Excuse me. And then we're gonna just continue all the way around. I put a little pencil mark right here is where we have to finish, and that completes this side. And then I'll just go to the other side and finish that up. And then once these are all on, the whole thing is going to get sealed with a matte coat. And then we'll take a look and see where we are. But I'm very happy with the progress. I see light at the end of this tunnel, so I'm going to plow on. So several hours of final decaling went on after this segment that you just saw, and I didn't think it was worthwhile adding another 20 minutes to the finale of laying down decals. Suffice it to say, they're all down, and a final matte was put on everything, and she looks stunning. So there you go. What I wanted to show you now is some snippets from a Zoom call that Lou and I had to do a postmortem on this build. And you know, Lou reached out and said, hey, let's just go through everything and sort of debrief ourselves, because I think it was valuable, not only for us to sort of go through and learn the pros and cons of a build like this, but also to, frankly, declutter our heads after 15, 16 weeks of a monumental build. So I want to show you some snippets of that right now. And then after that, you'll see me putting the finished ship through its paces here in the studio. I fire up the startup mode so you can see all the lights come up. You can hear the music and the voiceover from Jean-Luc. And that was for me to basically just make sure everything was finaled. And then I'm going to also include into that some snippets of a night shoot that we did to sort of test the final lighting. We did it in pitch black, and the reason why I did that is because I'm still not happy with all of the blacked out windows. I'm going to black out a few more, and I can do that with vinyl that Lou supplied. I've got black vinyl, and it's nice and crisp, and I can go ahead and lay those down in the windows that I want to switch off. But I'm going to do that after I've watched Generations one more time and a couple of other of the next gen shows, just to sort of enjoy the actual model going through its paces in the show, and also give myself a little more to chew on in terms of exactly which lights I want to turn off. So there's probably too much light on in the sources, so please, no emails telling me there's too many lights on, because I know. But after 15 weeks, I'm ready to move on to something else. I'm very happy with her, but I will be doing some niggly detail cleanup and stuff, because, you know, you can't stop sometimes. What can I tell you? So anyway, let's take a look at some snippets from that Zoom call right now. Then we'll look at the ship getting fired up, and also some beauty shots of it as well before I give you my final comments for this grand finale. So let's check it out. The 30th, and I have just gotten off a plane from Florida. Now, while I was mid-flight at 38,000 feet, I did get to chat with the Aztek Dummy here, and he suggested that we memorialize this build with a postmortem video to discuss the pros, the cons, the where we are, how we feel. And I thought it was an awesome idea because you do need therapy after 15 weeks. It's actually been 15, maybe closer to 16 for me, on this build. This is the Helios 1650 Enterprise
Thought out.
D. No,
I'm not here to beat up Helios, but I will tell you, never, the first lesson I learned from this kit was never buy somebody's initial offering.
yeah.
They weren't ready for it, wasn't ready for prime time. From what your experience was with the people that you dealt with, they weren't prepared to make good. The
No.
only thing they ever made good on was replacing the metal plate that was too fat at the outset.
Well, they were kind of forced into that, and they were
I,
also forced into replacing the deflector dish, which
that's true. I forgot the deflector dish was an obvious botch.
yeah.
But yeah, if I have to hear the words, well, it's only version one more time, I think I'll go to Germany and strangle somebody.
Yeah, that
Um,
well, it all started, if you can remember, while we're on this subject, and then we can move on. But if you remember, I started getting so I was so clever to think that the all of the series of holes in the bottom of the nacelle were an alignment. They were
yeah.
wiring, and they were for you to align to your,
Mhm.
with no with absolutely no pins or any indicators at all in the pylon to attach. And of course, when I reached out to Daniel when he was not ghosting me, he said, "Oh, that's just an artifact. Ignore it. It's an
Yeah.
artifact from the 6 foot."
The second thing is the lack of instruction.
Zero.
Zero instructions, lack of instructions, lack of yes, I know I know that's a warp nacelle. I know where it goes. I don't need assembly instructions, but how to assemble is a different
Well,
animal.
yes, but I go back to, had they have ever assembled it, which he was honest with me, he never had.
Right.
He never did. The two that he built as commission builds were from test fires. He had them. God knows what he had to do to grind them down or do
Yeah.
whatever he had to do to make those work. Now, he claims he's a professional model maker, but to leave us with, to offer a decal set with cheap inkjet decals that I sprayed 3 sets of Bonder on, and mine disintegrated. I pity the fool who tried to lay those down. The rear photon torpedo housing.
Proton torpedo housing was no
Yeah.
good. The
No.
the again, this goes into what they should have done on the saucer, but the fact that they didn't put any of the engraved grid lines on the secondary hull, particularly on the neck, really made it difficult to see where the windows line up against, the various levels of the neck.
Yeah.
All of that detail that should have been there that wasn't.
Well, well, I really appreciate the fact that you sort of, you went ahead and you test fit everything for me and then showed me the way so that I did not get lost. I mean, I did call a couple of times panicking because I couldn't find things because they were right in front of me. And,
Yeah.
when you don't mix rocket fuel in your tub at night, you don't think about turning a page over to see if
Turning
there's instructions on the other side, and you
whole
don't
new world.
see
It's a
things
whole
that
new world on the other side.
yeah.
Um, I granted the pinning of the pinning of the nacelles to the pylons. There was none. You had anything you needed, you had to create for yourself. I am still, who knows, 2 or 3 years down the road, the material that they've printed these out of, are we going to get in the cell droop? Or are we not?
Yeah, there is no, yeah, that's a very important point.
There's no history on that product yet that we could say that, just because today our nacelles are nice and level, are they going
Yeah.
to stay that way?
Now, what was I'm embarrassed to say I forget the name of the gentleman we met in Milton Keynes at the Sci-fi Museum that we had lunch with, who's working
Wayne,
Wayne.
Wayne.
Wayne. He did say, and I believe he lives in Singapore.
Oh,
Uh,
that's Lee you're talking about.
Lee, he was the one who said to me that because I was telling him about where these came from and how they were produced, and he apparently knows of that because he said he had several models that in Singaporean weather, and I guess I don't know if he has climate control, they've warped and they've drooped.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a history with styrene. You know how strong styrene is. You know
Yeah,
how to treat it, what to look out for.
right.
There are so many different types of resins, so many different formulations of resins, both FDM and liquid, that there's just not enough a case study
No,
to see what the longevity on some of these things are. So, you know, I have rather seen the entire sled done as a metal piece with, a skin over top of it. Boy, howdy, would I. But would
yeah.
that have added another $300 or $400 to the price? Probably.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're at that price already, for me, it had I have, and again, this is going back to what you said, because I mean, I was getting it the few times that Daniel actually jumped on a Zoom call with me.
Mhm.
All I got was, I mean, and no apologies or no excuses. It was just, oh yes, it was, it was the first run. If you got the first run, you got basically you got screwed. And oh, I fixed it in the second run. The third run's going to be amazing. And wait till you see
Yeah,
the E because all of the mistakes I made on the D, oh, I fixed them in the E. That's fine, but I think at this price level, when you're trying to do these kinds of things, you need to get it right. And I think you need to up your game in terms of how you present it and give us a lot more thought process to enriching our experience with you showing us that you took the trouble to really drill down and
yeah.
really do your
If
homework.
this if this was in fact their first product for the home audience, for the consumer, they should have been on the lookout for input.
Yeah,
They should have been looking out for, I'm not saying they should have, thrown kits out to builders and say, build this for us and give us your notes.
right.
But they should have been a lot more receptive to honest criticism and honest suggestions than I think they were.
I agree, but again, it was a remarkable revelation to learn that he had not taken a finished kit that he was shipping and built it
Yeah.
before he sent them out.
They trusted the fact that they had built the 6 foot ones, and these weren't anything different except they were half the size.
Right.
Yeah.
But getting back to that pylon quickly, I did get a minor crack in my port side pylon when I was attaching my pins to the pylons, the
Uh-huh.
lower part of the nacelle. Basically, at first, my first go around, I thought I was going to get clever and I was going to literally use screws and
Right.
was going to screw because that's what he told me to do. He said, just use screws. Well, I used the screw and I didn't get the hole centered correctly. And
Uh-huh.
I got a minor crack in it. Now I cleaned it up and it disappeared, but I stopped on the screw concept and I drilled down, but then I used rod. I used copper rod as for my pins, for my locator pins.
I ended up using flat brass stock
Right.
and pins because there was already a slot in the pylon.
All right.
So I could I just slotted a piece of brass there and just cut a slit in the nacelle to match it. And
Right,
I used that as rather than using a round pin, I used a flat piece of,
right,
something that was about a quarter inch wide and, 2 or 3 mil thick, and slid that down there and used that just to stabilize the joint.
right.
Well,
Well,
has this gotten too self-indulgent here,
no,
or
well, we've done a complete hour, and I think that is quite an autopsy. Do you want to just give some final thoughts before we close?
yes, go ahead.
Well, well, I'm thrilled I went on this journey. It was when you reached out to me and said, "Hey, this thing is on the market," and I got all excited and I jumped in, and I'm glad I did.
And
I
that's why I felt immediately responsible for the housekeeping. Because
I
I was directed to it by others, and others who said nicer things about Helios than you and I certainly would.
right.
And um, I saw this as a wonderful opportunity and a big chunk of change, and I felt that I owed it to you not to leave you in as in the dark as the rest of us
No,
were.
and I was cunning enough to cajole you into coming out here
Oh,
and
you don't have to
spending your
do that.
vacation working.
You don't have to do that. All you got to do is say, there's a light on in the at the sequel mansion, and I'll be there.
Oh, well, you're always welcome, but I was so grateful for the amount of you really you advanced the cause over here because I had all my windows were masked.
Well, there's certainly there, and I'm not going to blow my own horn here, but when it goes back to things you need for this kit, you need a set of painting masks for this kit. You
Yeah,
need window masks for this kit.
yeah,
You need a decent stand for this kit.
yeah,
You need um, you need that UV resin for this kit. Uh, you need you need a lot of room for this kit. You need a lot of patience for this kit.
yeah.
It's not your typical resin kit where there's a lot of cleanup of the parts, but there's a lot of stuff you got to come up with your own solution, because you're basically thrown in the wilderness with a dull butter knife and expected to carve, Mount Rushmore with it.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
There she is. Almost 15 weeks of work. I can't tell you how many hours, and I can't tell you how many people there are to thank. Obviously, let's start at the very top with Lou Dalmaso over at Aztek Dummy for his absolute guidance, his artistry, his kindness, and above all, his friendship, which I am so blessed and grateful to have. Of course, Keith Tomlinson over at Cozmic Scale Models over there in the UK. You're such a good man, and you helped us out. Obviously, between Keith and Lou, all of the decals were created. Lou obviously created all of the Aztecing and gave me my paint guide. Taylor over at Avalon Metalworks for his artistry for this base and the control panel. So I'm just really happy for all of it. And a big shout out to Andy Renard over at Canadian Spaceships, Star Trek. And a big shout out to Andy Renard up there in Canada. He obviously was one of the groundbreakers on this model. And so a lot was learned from his initial commencement of the build. So a big thank you to Andy as well up there. What can I say? This has been a labor of love. I'm thrilled I have done it. And I'm thrilled you got a chance to see Lou and I just reminiscing about this incredible journey together. Great fun to have seen a few clips of that. I'll post the full sort of breakdown of this as a separate video. Lou and I did a Zoom call to sort of go through everything. As I said, I will post that as a complete video for those of you who want to check that out in its entirety. But I wanted to give you a few clips here. Hey, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm spruverse@gmail.com. And you can follow my In the Weeds Instagram posts at Spruverse. Hey, you can buy me a cup of coffee. The link to that is in my channel page. That's for my charitable builds, where 2 or 3 times a year I get to build something for someone less fortunate, and I'm happy I'm able to do that. And it's also a great way of saying thank you to me as well. So, hey, as always, I wish all of you, please be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.